What is time? Today's modern industrialized world has been conditioned to view time in an extremely sterile and obtuse fashion. In all things, faster is better, because we are all collectively, yet selfishly focused on reaching the destination as quickly as possible. We think only in terms of warp speed and the immediate gratification of the here and now, often at the expense of the journey itself. In effect, we possess a debilitating form of tunnel vision, whereby we primarily focus on the completion of a task and view anything along the way as simply unnecessary and distracting filler. Unfortunately, we never quite understand that the destination itself is the distraction and is usually anticlimactic, while the unnecessary filler is where the real lessons take place. This monomaniacal fixation can be attributed to the thought processes inherent in the design of the primitive male mind, which operates in a stubbornly direct and intuitively ignorant manner. The male's immediate biological needs and drives take precedence over any sort of conscious reasoning or intelligent forethought. He is but a hammer in a world of screws. Expressed another way, the male is impatient and perpetually locked in the here and now. Women's minds, conversely, naturally operate in opposition, which helps make them, as the old saying goes, the deadliest of the species. Unfortunately, however, when it comes to your own personal view of time and reality in general, it does not matter whether you are male or female. We are all bestowed with the crutch of maleness by being called mankind. In this way, we have all been taught to think like men. As a result of this inherent single-minded repression, we blindly perceive a single trip around the sun as the completion of the largest cycle possible. We label these cycles years and tally them as trivial trophies won in an eternal two-step with time. However, thanks to our inherent male myopia, we fail to realize that a single year simply represents the playing of but a single musical note. We cannot conceive that another note would play next year, let alone that there would be an actual melody being played throughout time. We miss hearing the song because it is playing at a speed that is much too slow for our limited perception of existence to comprehend. We are, in essence, deaf to the sublime symphony of time. The passage of a typical human lifetime merely represents but a few notes of a grand musical composition. Mesoamerican cultures, most notably the Maya, were able to hear the muted whispers of this philharmonic phantasm, and they designed several different calendars which effectively served as a form of musical notation. In essence, they were able to create the sheet music of time itself, which sought to map the changes in pitch and rhythm, timbre and texture. The most widely known of these were the Zolkin, the Hab, and the long count. Suffice it to say, the Mayan concept of time and their tracking of the passage of time was radically different than our own. They understood the importance of the subject of this video, the elusive 13, and they used it in the creation of their calendars. Unfortunately, the short-sighted Western perspective of time has carelessly, or perhaps insidiously, infected our understanding of just how their calendars actually worked. What is the elusive 13, and how is it used in the Mayan calendars? In order to answer that question, we must briefly review the calendars themselves. The ritual Zolkin, or day count calendar, was divided into 20 13-day periods called tricanas. Each of these 20 days was individually named and associated with a number from 1 to 13. Each day/number had a special meaning, and the interwoven combination of the two were both incrementally advanced each day throughout the cycle to produce 260 unique days. The civil Hab, or year count calendar, was divided into 18 named 20-day months, which produced 360 unique days. A short 19th month consisting of 5 unlucky and unnamed days completed a 365-day year. This calendar worked much like our modern Gregorian calendar, except for the fact that there were 19 months instead of 12. Again, each of the named days had a special meaning. Obviously, the Mayans understood the concept of duality and how it rules our existence. They created these twin calendars to work in unity, to reveal how two must work together for events to move forward in time. The combination of the Zolkin and the Hab meshed like two gears, one with 260 teeth and the other with 365 teeth. By the time the teeth on the two gears returned to their original starting points, 73 revolutions of the Zolkin would have occurred, along with 52 revolutions of the Hab. The culmination of these 18,980 days was referred to as the calendar round. Do you understand the incredible significance of this? The fulfillment of this single sacred cycle meant that every possible combination of numbered and named days for each calendar would occur only once. With the exception of the 5 unnamed days per year, the Maya, in essence, had over 18,700 different meanings for those days, making each one special. As you can see, while we may have a few special annual holidays or observances throughout 52 weeks, to the Maya, each day for 52 years was unique. This effectively makes the culmination of a calendar round representative of the end of an age. Those 52 years represented the telling of a single story, like watching a really long movie. At the theater, when one story is complete, another begins. Great anticipation precedes the traditional extinguishment of the lights that signals that the movie is about to begin. Likewise, the completion of a calendar round was celebrated and revered to such an extent that all fire would be extinguished and relit the next morning. In essence, they dimmed the lights in anticipation of the next great presentation. The calendar round's obvious limitation was that it could only track a 52-year cycle before rolling over and starting again. In order to keep track of longer spans of time, the Mayans developed what we call the long count calendar. Our level of understanding of this calendar shows it to be a mixture of base 18 and base 20 number cycles, which seek to mark time from a given epoch. The numbers associated with each cell or node are broken down firstly by Ka'in, which tracks each day, then by Winal, which is 20 Ka'in, 20 days, then by Tung, which is 18 Winal, or 360 days, then by Ka'atung, which is 20 Tung, or 7,200 days, and finally by Ba'aktung, which is 20 Ka'atung, or 144,000 days. Since the Mayan creation took place on the 13th Ba'aktung, there is disagreement as to whether the Ba'aktung values go from 0 to 13 or from 0 to 19. In other words, does the calendar get reset to 0 after hitting 13? To witness how this works, 31 December 1979 would be written as 12.18.6.9.14 in the long count calendar. This is translated thus: 12 Ba'aktungs of 144,000 days, for a total of 1,728,000. 18 Ka'atungs of 7,200 days, for a total of 129,600 days. 6 Tungs of 360 days, for a total of 2,160 days. 9 Winal of 20 days, for a total of 180 days. 14 Ka'in of 1 day, for a total of 14 days. And the grand total of 1,859,954 days. The latest long count cycle began at the beginning of the Mayan fourth creation, which is said to have taken place on the 13th Ba'aktung, written as 13.0.0.0.0 4 Auhal 8 Kumku. This epoch has been calculated to equate to August the 11th, 3114 BCE. Therefore, in the example above, there were 1,859,954 days between that date and the end of December in 1979. In trying to understand the mindset of the Mayans, we are like astronomers studying a star over 1,500 light years away and attempting to determine whether any planets exist. In that situation, we see the star as it appeared 1,500 years ago. Likewise, we are attempting to peer 1,500 years into our earthly past in an effort to discern how another world, lost within our own, actually looked and worked. In my other videos, I highlight a common recurring narrative replaying in our midst. The Mayans, too, discovered the secrets of that singular fractal pattern hidden within the surrounding reality, and they determined that it could be broken down to a single number, a number upon which they based their calendars. That number is 13. The apparent apotheosis accorded the number 13 can be found associated with their ritual calendar, the Zolkin, their calendar round of 52 cycles, and their mythical date of creation on the 13th Ba'aktung. There were allegedly even 13 gods of the upper world. Alas, these are simply the exoteric displays of that number, since 13 is an obvious divisor. However, there was also an esoteric usage of 13 that has frightening connotations. The proof that the Mayans understood the concepts of the fractal universe, the world within a world, can be found in the great step pyramid known as El Castillo at Chichen Itza. What proof, you ask? The pyramid was built atop another pyramid hidden underneath. The exterior of the pyramid consists of 9 levels that are adorned with 91 steps on each of the 4 sides. When added to the shared final step of the platform at the top, This produces 365, the number of days in a year. Interestingly, 91 divided by 7 is 13. Therefore, each side works to produce a collective divisible quaternion of 13, 13, 13, 13. These four 13s seem to be a common motif that appears again and again in their calendars and rituals. The pyramid was designed in such a way as to honor the periodic return of the great feathered serpent god Kukulkan. You see, twice a year, on the crossing of the equinoxes, the corner of the pyramid produces a shadow that reveals a feathered serpent descending the stairs. In order to make that image of the descending serpent appear, El Castillo, otherwise known as the Pyramid of Kukulkan, had to be oriented just so, with the northeast staircase pointing at about 23 degrees. Intriguingly, if we use that orientation as the basis for a course around the planet, we find that it passes very near several ancient archaeological sites in India, and, most strikingly, it passes within 8 miles of Easter Island. That latter location is quite interesting, since roughly 3 weeks and 3 days separate the crossing of the equinox from the analemic crossing we've already discussed in my other videos. This hidden 33 and the name Easter would tend to provide an irresistible link to the numbers found in the Holy Bible concerning the crucifixion of Christ, a demigod that was sacrificed on the crossing, and someone that would be reborn and ascend to the heavens instead of descending. Do you begin to notice the mirror elements of the common narrative replay? The rituals associated with these calendars are a microcosm that betrays the events experienced on a macro scale. For example, if we zoom out our perspective a little, the 4 cycles of 13 years each that are required to reach the calendar round mimic the 4 seasons on Earth, each of which are 13 weeks in length. The former takes 52 years, while the latter takes 52 weeks. Likewise, zooming out even farther, the 4 Mayan ages are 13 ba'aktongs in length. If that is the case, since we were, or possibly still are, in the 4th creation, it is logical to conclude that we are approaching a grand calendar round of the ages, my name for it, when the light of the world is extinguished in preparation for a new age, a reborn world. As the various Mayan calendars would attest, it is obvious that those people had a much firmer grasp on the intricacies of time than we modern humans could hope to fathom. As such, I am haunted by the fact that there is a glaring inconsistency in the completion of a calendar round. You see, the 52 revolutions of the Hab coincided with an imprecise or vague cycle. What do I mean by vague? It isn't precisely 52 years. It seems that the Mayans neglected to account for that quarter day per year normally rectified in our Gregorian calendar by the addition of a leap day every 4 years. Therefore, the 52-year calendar round is 13 days short. For a people that developed such a sophisticated and extremely accurate calendar system, with the number 13 at its root, to be used to celebrate the completion of a 52-year cycle that was 13 days short, is extremely intriguing. If the final 5 days of the Hab calendar were considered evil and unlucky, what could possibly be the meaning of those missing 13 days. And so begins our glimpse into the elusive 13.